Today, we're going to talk about the precept of not to be stingy with material goods or the Dharma. So, we've been talking about the Zen precepts over the last couple of months, and this is the 8th one. And I want to talk about this not just from the side of not being stingy, nor the side of being generous, but really asking ourselves, what do we need? What do we really need to feel happy and to feel satisfied? And I was thinking of this in particular this week as we were reflecting on our impact on the earth itself as human beings. How do our actions affect the earth? And how much do we really need? And then the question of, are we taking more than we need? And if so, then how is that affecting the world around us? Well, how do we find the line? So this is the basis for the precept of not being stingy with material goods or the Dharma. So this precept is really based in the practice of generosity, obviously. I hope, obviously. And generosity is the basis for all of our spiritual practice. It's at the root of everything. If we don't have a practice of generosity, the rest of our spiritual practice can't grow. This is more of perhaps a Tibetan view of generosity than Zen, where Zen, everything is just, there's not one that's at the base of the others, but they're so interconnected. But I've been really deeply affected by the view that generosity is at the base, and I think it has a lot of merit. Without this base of opening our hearts and learning how to give and receive, then we're actually not able to take in the Dharma, nor are we able to share with others the fruits of the Dharma. So we really must learn how to practice generosity. We must. And we do that, by trying it out. This is the base. The Buddha said that no spiritual life is possible without a generous heart. No spiritual life is possible without a generous heart. So we really are dependent on cultivating a generous heart. But fortunately, that's easy to do once we get started. It's the getting started that's the scary part. But once we start to practice generosity and then start to experience the benefits of generosity, then the wish to give just very naturally arises. The wish to be generous becomes second nature to us. It becomes an inside-out practice that we don't have to think about at all. Because the essence of generosity is unconditional love. And this unconditional love is something that we all both want for ourselves, and if we're really honest, would like to give to others. So given that unconditional love, giving it and receiving it is the essence of generosity, generosity is a really natural practice. The essence is an open heart, letting go of our ego, of our idea of a separate self, that I'm separate from you, and really embracing that we are interconnected, embracing selflessness. This helps us to generate the wish to be generous in the world. We've been thinking about this week in terms of the environment, as I mentioned, the natural world. And really, we were practicing with Ehe Dogen's Mountains and Waters Sutra. The generosity of mountains is the essence of giving. The generosity of water is the essence of giving. The mountain doesn't think, I'm going to offer myself to those people to come and sit on me, or hike on me, or live on me. The mountain just is. And yet the mountain is the essence of generosity because it gives without thinking or expecting something back. And the same for the water. We really need water to live. Every single breath we take is water. Every single breath we exhale is water. And when I exhale the water of my breath, you inhale that same water through the breath. And this is how the world is interconnected through this essence of unconditional love, the essence of generosity. Water is life. You know, when at Standing Rock and similar to other places where Native American people have been so concerned about the pollution of the water through oil pipelines. The saying, it's not really a saying, but the teaching, water is life, was often said. Water is life, water is life, water is life. And I've really thought about that so much. They're not saying water is like life, or water is the essence of life, or water is connected to life. Water is dependent on life. Life is dependent on water. No, water is life. And when I told my teacher this, water is life, he said, oh, yeah, like Dogen Zenji would say. I really love this connected string that we have at the base of all of our spiritual practice, this deep understanding. Water is life. And given so, how are we going to take care of it? How are we going to practice generosity for the water itself, the mountains themselves? Our motivation for generosity comes out of a genuine concern for others. And others are not limited to people. They're not limited to our family, not limited to what we may think of as sentient beings. And Dogen Zenji was very clear on this. I'm going to just share one passage from the Mountains and Water Sutra. The blue mountains are not sentient. They are not insentient. We ourselves are not sentient. We are not insentient. We can have no doubts about these blue mountains walking. We do not know what measure of Dharma realms would be necessary to clarify the blue mountains. The blue mountains walking and our own walking, including both stepping back and backstepping. We can do an accounting of the fact that since the very time before any subtle sign, since the other side of the king of emptiness, walking by stepping forward and back, has never stopped for a moment. The mountains are not sentient. They are not insentient. We ourselves are not sentient. We are not insentient. We are all life. This life that we are co-enacting is completely dependent on every other aspect of this life. Therefore, we must practice generosity for the benefit of everyone. And the other side of that, of the genuine concern, the motivation, the genuine concern for all beings, with no thought of who's deserving and who's not deserving, who's worthy and who's not worthy, we give. We give as the basis for our spiritual practice. With no thought of return, asking ourselves, what do I need? Asking ourselves, am I taking more than I need? How can I not take more than I need? We can continually examine that question, then we can tread a little bit more lightly, in this world that we all co-create together. As we start to practice in this way, really paying attention to what do I need, then the practice of generosity changes us from the inside out. Last night we had these beautiful thunderstorms. It was very hot, and just this thunderstorms came in, and then rain just falling so heavily, and then the power went out. And the power went out just, I had just finished preparing dinner, so the timing was really good for me. And was thinking about, maybe sitting down and having dinner, and then, looking at the Friday evening news. But then the power was gone. So then the question comes up, what do I need? And so we went outside and sat in the stillness of the evening, in the silence, no lights, no sounds, no fan. It was very, very hot. But in the evening, there was a very tiny breeze outside, and it was just enough to feel refreshed. I didn't need lights to be able to eat. As I said, we'd already made the dinner. I didn't need a fan. I didn't need the news. In fact, it was really nice not to have it. And then in the stillness of that evening, other things appeared. Fireflies. There were fireflies. Really bright and beautiful in the darkness with no light pollution. And a groundhog, so fat and so cute. I love the way they walk, so waddling. Groundhog looking for something in the evening, maybe something to eat. So in that moment, asking myself, what do I need? I could realize that I need absolutely nothing. This is enough. Right here, right now, sweating in the evening, a tiny little bit of a breeze connecting with the water on my skin and cooling me down just enough that I could feel refreshed. Connecting me with the fireflies, with the groundhog, with the trees, with the grass. Even my cat was calm, lying down, gentle, happy, satiated. This is the gift of generosity, is deep satisfaction. The more we give, the more we practice generosity, the more spacious we start to feel. In that moment where I thought I needed the lights, there's kind of a closed feeling. Oh no, the lights went off. But then going out and realizing I don't need this, an openness starts to come in. And then as that openness comes in, really permeating our bodies, our hearts, then our whole world starts to feel more spacious. The beauty of the evening could come in. If I had stayed in that stuck place and gotten obsessed about, maybe texting the power company or trying to call or being frustrated, where are they? They're not really coming. And is this really a power outage? I think this is a scam. I mean, there's so many directions, right? It could go into. But instead, letting go, opening my heart, created a spaciousness that then created more spaciousness. And I felt so much love for that little waddling groundhog and my content cat and the beautiful fireflies and the trees above. And even the little bitty spider crawling on the table. The air so full of water, giving me life, being life, with me full of water, interacting with the air. This is what generosity does for us. It really opens us up. And it works in this way when we get stuck with our emotions as well. Take anger, for example. When we're feeling angry, we often are out of balance. Something doesn't feel right. Oh, I'm angry because this isn't right. And we separate out, right? We can come back to that heart of generosity, even in the moment of anger, and ask ourselves, what do I need right now to be happy? What do I really need right now to be happy? What do I need? And if we can be honest with ourselves and also really listen to what we need, we can learn things. Perhaps what we need is to let go of that holding and cultivate a little bit more spaciousness. Maybe the person who did the thing, the person who's late for dinner, maybe they didn't do it to me personally. Maybe they were enjoying the fireflies in their own yard and got delayed. Or maybe they had a hard day and just could not get away from the office. Or maybe they just forgot to look at the time. There's so many possibilities when we're feeling open, and so few when we're feeling closed and separated. Remember, the essence of generosity is unconditional love, letting go of the ego of ourselves as separate. So when we get into that feeling of separateness, you did this to me. You said that thing that really made me mad. Then we're pulling apart. Generosity offers us a way to come back together. And it doesn't mean that we ignore the things that are challenging, but generosity gives us an openness to receiving what we need to receive. So even if somebody says something that hurts us, if we're closed and we get fixed, you're a bad person. Or you always do this. You never listen to me. And that starts pulling us apart. But if we can come back into openness, okay, I don't like what they said, but in general, I like this person, or I want to like this person, or it's so painful to hate this person that I would really prefer to be out of that pain. Like it gets desperate sometimes. We can come back to that openness, then there's space to repair, to come back together. Hey, what was going on for you when you said that, Or I'm not sure I understood you. Can you say more? Or when you said, Tenku, you're a terrible person, I felt really hurt. Can you say more about that? There's so many ways we can come back into connection but they all require opening, just a bit, opening, opening. And generosity offers us this generosity of spirit, generosity of unconditional love, of an open heart. And when we really start to ask ourselves, what do we really need? Then a kind of a brightness comes in out of our openness. You know, we make an intention to be generous. We start to practice it. We develop a little more confidence. Okay, I can do this. This kind of works. And as we develop more confidence that the practice of generosity is beneficial, then we get a little bit more spacious and a brightness comes into our life. And this brightness is the basis of our spiritual practice, this open-hearted connectedness. And it's the same brightness and connectedness that offers us a way of being in this world that we co-create with all beings in a way that's beneficial and doesn't cause harm. Because then when we really do care about the world around us, we don't want to hurt things. You know, we don't mind that the groundhog built a home underneath my garden shed and made a hole under there because it gives it a nice, safe place to sleep. And plus, it's cute. You know, I get to look at it. So maybe it's okay that it has a hole under there. And even further, you know, we have space when people mess up or when people are trying. We can say very simple things like, hey, when we rent that car together, you know, we need to make this trip. I know you really kind of wanted an SUV, but would you mind if we took, you know, something a little bit more efficient? Is that okay with you? People usually say yes if we offer with an open-hearted way of saying it. And there are more things. When we ask ourselves, what do we truly need? And we start to get out of that mindset of needing stuff to make ourselves feel better. Because this is the opposite of generosity. You know, think about a time when you've just had a really hard day. You're frustrated. You know, maybe you're walking home from work or getting into your car. What do you want to do? Basically anything not to not feel what you're feeling. Maybe I want to get something. You know, I'm going to just stop off and have a drink today. You know, I've had such a hard day. I'm going to stop in this store. And I'm not even sure why I came through the door, but there's something in here I need, I'm sure. Oh, look at this thing. It's so cute. I'm going to get this and take it home. I mean, we've all done it. No, I've had a hard day. What can I get that's going to make me feel better? And then we get into that getting mode, right? That closing down type of mode. I'm going to get even a nice meal can be an act of generosity or it can be an act of stinginess. What is our motivation? Is our motivation open-heartedness, generosity for self and others, letting go of the idea of only me? When we can approach the world in this way, then we can find that we really have what we need right here. So back to the water. Water is the palace of the true dragon, which is another way of saying awakening. It is not flowing away. If we regard water as only flowing, then the word flowing is an insult to water. It's like imposing, not flowing. Water is nothing but water's real form, just as it is. Water is the virtue of water. It is not flowing. In the thorough study of the flowing or not flowing of a single drop of water, the entirety of the 10,000 things is instantly realized. Among the mountains as well, there are mountains hidden in jewels. There are mountains hidden in marshes. There are mountains hidden in the sky. There are mountains hidden in mountains. There is a study of mountains hidden in hiddenness. When we can appreciate things just as they are, with a sense of acceptance, of satisfaction, of even gratitude, then our need to get something else to make us happy starts to dissipate. And as that need to get something else to make us happy starts to ease, the spaciousness and the beauty of the entire universe shines. And it's so amazing, so beautiful, so wonderful, so connected. An old Buddha had said, mountains are mountains and waters are waters. These words do not say that mountains are mountains. They say that mountains are mountains. Therefore, we should study these mountains. And when we thoroughly study the mountains, this is the mountains practicing. Such mountains and waters themselves become those who are wise, become sages. When we're open to the wisdom of the entire universe, not just the entire planet, the entire universe, with the openness of unconditional love, which is the essence of generosity, then very natural openness shows us everything we have is here. Everything we need is right here. There is absolutely nothing that is not present in this world that we co-create with all beings together. And we become full of love, of gratitude, and of brightness.